Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Under the presidential decree, the Malian authorities has now dismissed all officers that were involved in the recent coup d'etat in Mali. Ladies and gentlemen, the most conspicuous among those culprits is the two generals that were involved in the coup d'etat and the failed coup d'etat in Mali. Number one, General Abbas Dembele and General Nema Sagara. The most shocking episode of this is now that they will have to be dismissed. Are they going to go back to the streets or are they going to go directly to prison? Ladies and gentlemen, they've now been dismissed from service based on the Malian decree. A lot of people have been hearing their concern that putting these people back on the streets could create a whole new level of insurrection within the Malian, conclaves. But according to the information we have, we don't know yet what will happen to these people after they have been dismissed from service. Imagine you being a general. I don't know how long it would take for an individual, a personnel in the military, to walk the way to the level of a general, only to go and perform a treasonable offense and lose all the rights, all the effort, the blood, sweat, and tears. In one moment of treason, everything is all gone. Ladies and gentlemen, the billion-dollar question is, do they deserve this treatment? A lot of people have been asking the question, why not give them a second chance? And so, at the same time, a lot of people have equally been asking the question, why give them an opportunity to even be dismissed? They are saying that the consequence should even be far more dire than that. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about that? We have a huge Mauritanian delegation led by the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Mauritania visiting Mali. They were welcomed in the presidential villa in Bamako. And one of the things they discussed is the security situation along the border of the two countries. We know the tension along the border of Mali and Mauritania recently has been very, very kinetic, with elements, taking advantage of the strategic border region to perform so many heinous crimes, with a lot of allegations flying here and there. Oh, they could be coming from Mauritania. Oh, the Mauritanian. We've even seen situations where we've seen audio tapes of Mauritanian citizens alleging directly the Mauritanian authorities of housing some of the leadership of this element within the capital of Mauritania. Mauritania, a big country with a population of 5.6 million. They are making a very big headline recently. And part of what they discussed again was to talk about the situation of the Mauritanian traders that were trading in Mali. Both the ones that were trading legally and the ones that were trading illegally. Ladies and gentlemen, so if you have a lot of illegal traders in Mali, the billion-dollar question is, why were you the one at the center of a lot of controversy? That's another question. Another thing they discussed was the security situation, talking about the Malian refugees in Mauritania. Those are the Malian citizens that were displaced as a result of the kinetic situation that has been going on along the Mauritanian border. So a lot of time, most of those people flee into Mauritania. But according to recent information from local sources, that Mauritania has been deporting those people back to Mali indiscriminately. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about the situation? Could it be a situation where Mauritania is trying to fix the relationship that has been wearing off recently with Mali? Can they build another level of rapport small between the two nations? Ladies and gentlemen, you can kindly give us your opinion in the comment section below. Again, in a very, very big episode of change that has just fall on the African continent. Ladies and gentlemen, Russian State Duma has now confirmed the military cooperation that is going to start now with Togo. Ladies and gentlemen, Russia is now a big security partner of Togo. Ladies and gentlemen, this could mean that the African Corps or maybe another Russian security outfit could now be in Togo. According to the information we have, it will cut across training of personnel, security agreement on so many levels, trading, bilateral agreements. Ladies and gentlemen, could Togo be the next country to wave farewell to the ECOWAS bloc? Sedao has been a little bit disappointing. So far so good when it comes to the timing of their response to situation that have been going on. You know, we know that it's an economic organization, but sometimes, and even an economic organization can take necessary measure to help the sister countries, you know, when the situation is really, really desperate. They used to have ECOMOG. We don't know what has happened to those reserve troops. The last time we heard about those reserve troops was when they were about to invade Niger. And that was when the AES stood their ground, that we would be waiting for these troops. We never saw the ECOWAS again. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about the security relationship between Togo and Russia? Now, I have my own take on this. I do believe this is a very, very good move by the Togolese. It means that this could be a farewell to France. I mean, an advanced level farewell. And could Togo be the next country to join the AES alliance? It's going to make a lot of sense because the Togolese share border with the AES state equally. And ladies and gentlemen, just imagine the Togolese port. According to global statistics, a port that is seriously better than the Nigerian Lagos port in time of the time of delivery of cargo, clearance, and every other thing. One of the best ports in Africa now. A lot of questions have been asked. Could Togo now be the route through which the AES countries are going to be able to start shipping in their materials, their weapons, their ammunition, based on the fact that these countries have a shared security umbrella with Russia? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a beautiful, beautiful relationship. But can we say this about Benin Republic? Because it is surprising that this is not even the first time Benin Republic will be calling for the help of Burkina Faso. Ladies and gentlemen, we once had a situation where some tactical elements were advancing along the northern Benin territory. They already encircled the Beninese troops. Any initiation of contact would have led to a complete obliteration of the Beninese armed forces on that very day, earlier this year. And a desperate call was made to Captain Ibrahim Traore to help salvage the situation. And according to Captain Ibrahim Traore, the surveillance vectors were sent and followed by an airborne brigade that were deployed to go and rescue the situation. They actually saw the tactical elements, and before you know what was going on, in a moment between life and death, the Burkinabe made a decision that a true Pan-African great nation would make. Liberated all the elements, delivered their 72 virgins to them instantaneously at God's speed. And again, Benin has asked for the Burkinabe security aid, in my opinion. But a lot of people are saying you still have the French troop within your territory. So a lot of people have been asking the question, the first time Burkina Faso, one country that has been seriously criticized by the leadership of Benin Republic, they came to your rescue when you needed them the most. Why not the French troop that you had within your territory rescue the situation? So, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people have been saying, does it even make any sense for Burkina Faso to listen to this call from Benin Republic. A lot of people have equally had a concern that this could be a setup. But congratulations to the Togolese, man. Welcome to the conclaves of the free. In my opinion, I think this is going to be a very beautiful move for Togo. They have been closely coordinating with the AES country. There's been a lot of criticism of the leadership of Togo. I have my reservation. I've always had my reservation for the people of Togo. A lot of people were looking at it from the political perspective. But I was looking at something, and I've said it many times on this platform. For our day ones, they could remember. And a lot of people thought maybe I was just being convinced for nothing. I said, I'm seeing a situation where the Togolese leadership wants to make a crucial decision. A crucial decision that will break the colonial ties completely. And the colonialists already seeing this move. They've already anticipated what the Togolese are trying to do, especially the Togolese government. And I suspected something that looked like a manipulation of the larger population and something that looked to me like a color revolution. So, but ladies and gentlemen, the whole scramble is complete. Togo is out. I think right now it's time for the Togolese to enjoy the benefit of true democracy and true sovereignty. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be here and we'll be watching to bring you the information as it continues to unfold. Ladies and gentlemen, in Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré sent a clear message to all officials. According to the information we heard, that if any minister or official take a bribe, even if it's $1, that official, minister, or whoever will be going straight to prison. Remember, Burkina Faso, they've created different courts for corruption, and they've created 2 prisons, solid prison, just to address corruption alone. We have different type of prison, but for corruption alone, it's been 2 prisons created. Ladies and gentlemen, but the Burkinabes continue to stand tall in their attitude, in their Pan-Africanism. I've never seen a country that has so much competence, so much capability to continue to prove that they can stand at the forefront of Pan-Africanism in Africa. They are proven by the day that this is not just a mere rhetoric. Burkina Faso is the beacon of true Pan-Africanism as far as Africa is concerned, ladies and gentlemen. You might have a different opinion. I stand to be corrected. According to parallel facts, the United States Senator Ted Cruz, already made another bold statement. And one of the statements he made was that the United States knows the perpetrators of the Christian genocide in Nigeria, and they're going to do everything within their effort to go after this individual. Ladies and gentlemen, if the United States is saying they know those people, if you know those people truly, the set of individuals who is supposedly backing the scourge of terrorism in Nigeria, and they want to go after these individuals, well, let them do what they got to do. I mean, terrorism generally in Nigeria needs to be addressed. We don't know who the sponsors are, but once upon a time, we once heard that USAID was one of the major financiers of Boko Haram. This banditry situation that we have in Nigeria, it's a sort of extravasated team from the Boko Haram. According to the information we heard, the Boko Harams, they don't take ransom. They don't kidnap for ransom. They don't rustle cows. They don't do a lot of things like that. But the bandits, they are the people that have been dismissed from the Boko Haram sect. They've done 1 or 2 things that makes it difficult for them to get back into the Boko Haram fold. But because of their radical ideology, They go away, recruit their own team, and become bandits. So both the Boko Harams and the bandits are still like the same type of family, just under different canopy. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about the statement of Senator Ted Cruz? We've had a lot of allegations about those that have been sponsoring the Boko Haram in Nigeria. Saudi Arabia has released their own list of people that are involved in funding this organization. A lot have been said. But after all is being said and done, we will be here waiting for where this will all end. Ladies and gentlemen, today in Kwara, tension escalated between the Nigerian armed forces and some group of bandits. Ladies and gentlemen, contact was established. Immediately, this element spotted the Nigerian armed forces on patrol. But as luck will have it, this element did not last to tell the story of what escalated between them and the Nigerian armed forces. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the receipt on our Telegram channel. Make sure to visit our Telegram channel. You can see the receipt over there. Now, one thing we found very intriguing about this is how clean and how new the AK-47 rifle of these elements were. This is making us ask the question, it's raising our curiosity that could this be, or could this mean that these elements in Kwara State, because Kwara now has just started seeing the rise of banditry, terrorism and all of that. So the question is, could it be that there is a new insurrection, there is a new build-up of this insurgent group in Kwara State? Never seen an AK-47 rifle so clean and so new. So could it be that this is just trying to bring? So the question is, what would the Nigerian authorities do to destroy this element before they build up something that looks like an institutional capacity in Kwara State? And don't forget, Kwara State is a state that is divided in between the Fulanese and the Yorubas. But still, it also has some of the most religious fanatics in Nigeria. If this situation is left unattended to, we could have one of the biggest explosions of terrorism in Nigeria, in Kwara State. And it has a very big territorial landmass. So I'm still looking at how the Nigerian security outfits are going to be able to address the situation in Kwara State. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the capital of Burkina Faso today, Ouagadougou, we have a situation. Tension escalating in traffic. And the event that followed were very, very desperate. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to the quick response of the civilians. If not, who knows what would have happened? One of the lovers and the supporters of Pan-Africanism, who has been in the forefront of the fight against the agendas of the powers that be. Ladies and gentlemen, there was an assailant who had a misunderstanding with him in traffic, and before you know it, shots got fired. But luckily for this man, you know, the people came to his rescue.
The incident is still being discussed on online forums. The teacher, who is also a filmmaker, Rasmari Wadraogo Dirazo, was the victim of an armed assault. It was a dispute that broke out in traffic that is said to have triggered the assault. Fortunately, the filmmaker came out unharmed, while the assailant is now in the hands of the security forces. We have more information on the subject in this welcome segment.
Bullet impact. A victim who, despite everything, is trying to regain his composure, and an assailant who is acting shy. If it hadn't been for the intervention of these young people, things could have turned out much worse.
Maybe I'm still emotional, but being among my loved ones will help me get through this. And also to try to live up to the situation. It's true that it's difficult. Maybe it's only now, with time, that it's starting to hit me. I'm really starting to feel it, but I truly think that with active and unwavering solidarity, with sharing with my friends here, I think I can get through this.
The events took place in the 1-3 neighborhood of Ouagadougou. It all started with a disagreement in traffic. The actor-comedian Asmadi Ouedraogo, after a very busy day, just wants to get back to his family. But on the way, sometimes you have to swerve to avoid potholes. Unfortunately, the man who was following him closely got annoyed and flew into a rage.
It surprises me too. You know, the road that goes from Revolution Square to the neighborhood is full of potholes and everything. So everyone tries to find their own way through. That's when I don't know what happened. Anyway, I could hear him honking, and I just kept going. He told me that I hit him, but I didn't hit anyone since there's no mark like that. And I kept going. He told me to stop. I said, no, I'd rather go home. So I took the lane to go home. That's when he pulled out, followed me, and caught up with me at the corner of the street. And well, all I heard were the gunshots. There were, I think, 4 shots fired, 3 of which hit the back of my vehicle. And the first one, he must have broken his own window to be able to shoot at me.
Kikidemi manages to escape his attacker's shot, but the assailant is still furious. An assailant determined to take justice into his own hands. He even went so far as to lose his license plate.
I kept going for he came to block me and got out again with the gun. Fortunately, the people here in the neighborhood reacted immediately because we've all been together for a long time. All the young people here know me. They reacted right away. They stopped him from doing what he intended to do. In any case, since the gun was still in his hand.
Fortunately, the comedian Rasmari Ouedraogo managed to escape safely, as did his attacker, but thanks to the security forces. Rasmari Ouedraogo, also known as Raison, is not only a comedian, he is also the Secretary General of the Convergence of Revolutionaries for the Defense of the Homeland.
Burkina Faso is home to some of the, bravest human beings I've ever seen. Without weapon, they came out to support this man. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the receipts. Now, we have a situation in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Ethiopia has just come up with a media. They call it the Pulse of Africa, with the sole aim of cracking down on the disinformation campaign that goes ahead to paint Africa negatively. Ladies and gentlemen, they said the aim of creating this Pan-African media is to debunk every false allegation, claims against Africa as a whole. What do you think? A lot of people have actually heard their complaints and they're concerned that this could be an attempt to eradicate free speech in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is taking some big steps, but ladies and gentlemen, we'll be here to see what happens at the end of the day. So ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, kindly click the like and subscribe button. It's your boy 7200 signing out. Enough said, but before I go, I want to appreciate you for being back here. Thanks for watching, and God bless you.